Since the pandemic, a large number of workers have been talking more about the need to form a union, and strike activity has increased. Last year, about 200,000 more workers joined unions, but the percentage of workers in unions actually went down slightly. So what that's showing is more people are joining unions, but more jobs are being created at an even faster rate than unions can organize workers. Yes, unions are more popular, and I think, again, the reason is people are talking more about it. Unions are in the news. Some unions are winning strikes, or at least threatened strikes, like recently the Teamsters who work for UPS, the package delivery drivers, even just by threatening a strike, won a pretty good contract. That's certainly positive, and other workers see that. So I think that builds a positive dimension and an impression. In the United States, I think most union organizing, I won't say all, but most revolves around what people call the bread and butter issues. Better wages, access to benefits, more regular scheduling. A lot of workers now work these very irregular hours. So sometimes it comes down to simply workers feel their management is just not treating them fairly. The one thing you don't see a lot of in this country is organizing for, say, broader political or cultural reasons. In some countries, the labor movement is very much linked more with leftist politics or cultural change. There's not a lot of that in this country. I think specifically, if you join a union, you're going to pay union dues. Usually unions try to get you a contract where your increase in, say, the hourly wage will more than offset what you pay for dues. Sometimes a union will ask you to go out on strike. Now, many unions do that through a democratic process. They actually have a strike vote. For example, from what I know, the Screen Actors Guild, over 90% of their members that voted to authorize a strike. I will say, as a historian, looking back over, say, the past 100 years, some unions had a history, a past history, usually not today, but in the past, had a history of being very racially exclusive, hostile to women members. Some unions were caught up in corruption. That still happens occasionally. Again, it's not endemic. And again, as a historian, I'm always honest with my students. In fact, I'm teaching my 20th century labor history class this semester, and I always say to students, we're going to look at the good and the bad and the ugly. And there's some ugly in the history, and we shouldn't ignore it. That's the job of being an honest historian. But there's also a lot of good. And I think if you take the good and the bad and the ugly and put them in one of those scales, I would argue as a historian, the good that unions do in terms of improving people's daily lives through better wages, benefits, more regular hours, safer workplaces, protection from abuse by foremen, things of that sort. I would say weigh it all, the pluses outweigh the minuses, but we don't want to ignore the minuses. I just think that's not being honest with people.